My client shared with me a disturbing experience she had with a 5-year-old. She works as a living nanny for a certain family who identifies as a group that is favored by God and that every other race on this earth is inferior to them. The child that she has been providing care for over the years returned home from school and informed her he should not be interacting with her or people that worship a God that is different to his. Now, in sessions, we discussed the fundamental teachings of this group that all human beings, regardless of race or ethnicity, are created in the image of God and are therefore of equal and infinite value. Now, needless to say, my client was distraught. She is at the point where she is actually considering leaving this family, whom she has worked for more than 5 years. And since the political implication of this 5-year-old ideology is being shaped to discriminate against people of other races, which is fundamentally different from the main tenets of his religion, you can understand why she feels uncomfortable. In sessions, my client expressed disappointment that in today's world, there are people or groups of people who are intentionally accommodating an ideology that identifies people in societies into confining social position. This type of ideology ignores important historical inter-ethnic interactions amongst groups of people who depended on one another from one time to the next to trade for hospitable accommodation and sharing of cultural knowledge in order for them to live. Many people now focus on teaching children ideologies that overlook a deep history of inter-ethnic relations. Now, as someone of mixed race, I have observed that some social groups worldwide maintain rigid identities and often oppose those they consider others. In my view, this type of thinking leads to feelings of alienation and can be linked to global conflict. I can see why my client is thinking about leaving her job since this 5-year-old child is letting her know from now that she is not the kind of person he is allowed to interact with. Ethnic groups form when people living in specific areas develop unique lifestyles and languages and see themselves as distinct communities with separate histories. Now, before market capitalism, wage labor, and individualism, kinship was central to personal identity. Even in advanced ancient societies like Rome, family ties defined social status. In many patrilineal cultures in the Middle East, Africa, and the Mediterranean, people were recognized by their father's lineage, a tradition reflected in the genealogies listed in texts such as the Book of Genesis. At one time across the Mediterranean region, despite limited access to transportation, individuals from diverse backgrounds engage in significant inter-ethnic interactions encompassing numerous cultures and communities. Populations often retain their ethnic identities, but this change was seen as inevitable and was welcome as societies learned from one another. You see, different cultures generally coexisted peacefully, with outsiders often taking specific roles in major societies. Additionally, people from various ethnic backgrounds often married each other primarily because marriage served as a tool for political or economic advantage. This still happens today, except that groups now use race as a tool to prevent cultures from mixing and coexisting. Now, I think this is regrettable that factors such as race and religion, which are socially constructed, they are made by man, and this can lead to division rather than foster stronger relationships rooted in shared interests, values, and beliefs. Promoting flexible interaction based on commonalities may be more constructive and encouraging Rigid identities derived from social ideologies may not benefit us at all. In the past, societies were identified by their ethnic names or place of origin, and these identities were often flexible. For example, Paul of Tarsus sometimes called himself Roman for convenience, and ancient texts recounted others who changed their ethnic identities for personal reasons. Now I can see why it has become difficult for my client to continue working in an environment that sees her as an inconvenience rather than a person that is making an important contribution to the overall well-being of a child. We should promote behaviors that prevent racist thinking. It is essential to support individuals affected by trauma stemming from racist ideologies and discriminatory practices, particularly in environments where many experience feelings of insecurity due to such discrimination. I think parents and adult role models have a responsibility to address the detrimental effects of racism on both individuals and the broader society. You see, societies that promote and maintain racist ideologies under religious pretext may contribute to traumatic stress, whether resulting from isolated critical incidents or prolonged systemic policies. Individuals as living systems interconnected with their environment and other entities in a broader network often engage in regulatory mechanisms to restore equilibrium and maintain functionality. Now, the system's various components collaboratively participate in processes of adjustment and adaptation, and this enables sustainable collective existence. And if this is a belief that is ingrained in the minds of oppressed society, change is very unlikely. The bottom line is everyone needs to cover and manage the day-to-day challenges of life that racism and discrimination makes more difficult. Recognizing the impact of such harmful ideologies on young minds is crucial, as early exposure can shape a child's worldview and influence how they interact with others throughout their lives. It is important for caregivers and educators to foster environments where diversity is celebrated and empathy is encouraged, ensuring children learn to value people for their character and contributions rather than superficial differences as race. As a therapist working with trauma survivors, I think it is vital to create safe spaces where individuals can share their experiences and perspectives without fear of judgment or exclusion. You see, facilitating these conversations helps foster empathy by understanding which are necessary for healing and growth within diverse communities. By encouraging respectful communication and mutual respect, societies can begin to dismantle harmful ideologies and nurture environment where everyone feels valued.